Arganissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil, and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So, what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.arganissima.com. Arganissima, New York. Your beauty.
Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, the FitnFab channel, all the channels. But today it's really the glamour channel, which will be a whole different thing. We want to talk glamorous. We want to talk about style. We want to talk about dress code. We want to talk about being confident, looking good, feeling good, dressing to impressing, right? So that's kind of a whole different angle for us, and it's all related to what we do on the day-to-day lives. And with me today, I have a special guest, and all my guests are special. And we're gonna talk about that. This is what he does, and what he does is help men specifically feel confident about themselves, dressing correctly, dressing right for the right occasion, and things like that. So he's a style consultant, right? So he's gonna tell us all those things, and it's gonna be an interesting discussion because throughout my world of corporate experience, I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a thing or two, as they say, and we can talk about all that stuff. So Maxime Houston, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me on here. I'm excited.
Listen, so am I. I mean, you and I connected, and when you said this is what you do, I wanted to hear about it, and certainly we feel that there is an opportunity to share with people about all the stuff that how you can help them. And before we go there, I just wanted to clarify for some people because everybody will probably say, "Well, I don't need anybody to tell me how to dress," which is okay. This is not the purpose. The purpose is just to put all the stuff together and relate to it in one way or the other because we all have our own perceptions of things, and it's good to learn about a new way of thinking of how it's important potentially to dress a certain way or to be themed correctly or just fitted correctly. The get up is good, right? Has to be good. So Maxime, let's take us to your journey. First of all, just who is Maxime? How did you get into this world and what do you exactly do?
So, first of all, I'm an image consultant, but to most people, when I say I'm an image consultant, they get all confused. They have no idea. So they think, of course, like image as in like picture or like photography. That's not what I do. So I am an image consultant, but technically I like to say to people, I'm a style consultant for men. So what I do is guys who have no idea how to dress, how to coordinate an outfit, they don't know where to shop, what to look for. I take those men shopping. I recommend them outfits for different occasions, such as dates, work meetings, business meetings, job interviews, and just casually. Because an average guy, let's face it, has no idea what to wear, how to coordinate an outfit. And again, I'm not a runway model. I didn't go to fashion school. So I help an average guy, somebody who's in the corporate world, has a job, has a business, he's an entrepreneur, to dress appropriately. And when it comes to dressing, it's not about what you wear as much as about how you wear it, how it fits. So it's more about the fit rather than what you wear. So you can, for example, you can wear the most expensive jacket, the most expensive shirt, but unless it's properly fitted, you're never going to look your best. So you can go for some less expensive that fits you properly, and you can look 10 times better than wearing. So to me, when it comes to looking your best, of course, the quality is very important, but to me, it comes down to how you wear it rather than what you wear.
Well, thank you, Maxime, for that. That's pretty good. At least now we're clear on this. But you really touch on a lot of points. One of the things that you stated was job interview, and we all know everybody's got to go to a job interview in their life. Apparently, it doesn't matter what you do; you're still gonna show up for an interview, meet somebody, accordingly to whatever that job that you're seeking, right? What is the
Absolutely.
impact of that?
One thing is job, whether you're like a teenager looking for your first job or you want to get promoted to a CEO position. But even if you don't work for a company, you have your own company. Anytime when you meet, let's say you're like a real estate agent, you're a real estate broker, you're a lawyer, you're consulting, even myself, although I kind of work for myself, anytime when I meet with a client, I'm on a job interview because technically they are interviewing me. So even if you're a high paid consultant, you're a highly paid lawyer, every time when you meet a new client, you're at a job interview. So don't mistake that thinking like, oh, hey, I have my own business. I'm never going to go to a job interview. Anytime when you meet a prospect, a potential client, you're at a job interview because they're the ones who are like, do I want to work with this person? Are they right for me? So even if you are, let's say like a multi-millionaire, you're making millions, anytime when you meet this new client, you're at a job interview. You might not think so, but I mean, you are at a job interview, even if you are working for yourself, because I mean, somebody's going to pay you. It's your prospects, your potential client. So anytime when you get together with new client, new prospect, you are at a job interview. So it's important to make a good impression on how you dress, communicate subconsciously and visually about who you are, what you represent.
Well, Maxi, thank you for that, because it's amazing, but a lot of people may not relate those two together. I mean, we think job interviews, you go to a company, you apply for a job and
Exactly.
stuff, but the customer portion, we don't get, to kind of talk about as much, or even like, put it together, right? And I can relate to that from a different angle. I'll share with you something, because I have been in sales for a long time. And I remember back in the old days when, you looked at a salesperson, you had a typical look for a salesperson. And if you go back to maybe the 40s or 30s or even 20s, I mean, everybody looked sharp, suit, tie, the whole nine, right? You had to have a particular look. You're in corporate, you're working, that's exactly the look. And in sales, that actually became almost a tradition. You don't just show up, with a polo or even, a t-shirt or something. You had to be that particular expected, look and feel. And that's been lost over the years. Unfortunately, I think that's been diluted to a degree. It's different, but you're right. The idea is you knock on somebody's door and they see you and you look like, you're not really that sharp. They might be like, well, I don't want to deal with this person. It doesn't give me that feel of confidence, right? As a customer. And they may not even take you for serious, which is, amazing how that psychologically works.
Exactly. And on the other hand, you do have to be careful because you don't want to overdo it either. For example, let's say like you're going out to a cocktail party or you're going to a job interview where people dress more casually and you show up in a suit. So, I mean, there is a fine balance to this. You don't want to be underdressed. You don't want to be overdressed. But now, for example, let's say you're going to a particular event, particular job interview or a party. You have no idea what everybody else is going to be wearing. So therefore, you might want to put a bit extra time and effort, but at the same time, you want to make sure you don't overdo it. Because my whole thing is like, you don't want to look like you're trying too hard. So you want to look presentable, you want to look good, you want to feel good, but you don't want to look like you're putting much time and effort into this. So, there's a couple of rules here and there, but you don't want to do it. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to spend hours, when everybody's going to be wearing t-shirt and jeans and you show up in this three-piece suit that's, tailored and like it's Italian wool suit that looks like perfection. It costs a couple of grand. You don't want to overdo it. But like I said, the whole thing of this is if you're going to a particular job interview, you're going to a party, event, you don't know what everybody's going to be wearing. Just, like picture, like what is everybody going to be wearing? And then you might want to dress slightly dressier than everybody else without pushing it too far.
And thank you for clarifying that, because, while I was giving an example of sales, just that's one context, but really to your point, even that can flip on you. I mean, and this happened as a true story. Back in the days, my partner and I, we were actually going to an interview, a home interview. And so we were dressed up in suits and things. And so we wound up, going to this housing place. And, so people were looking at us, they thought we were 5-0, we were cops. So now people are looking at us like two insurance guys walking in here, but we didn't look like insurance guys. We looked like cops. And so that was not a very good look we received. Right? It was a tough, area where, you only cops will actually look like that for them. Right. And so it was a very interesting experience. And then from that point on, we actually complained to the companies, like, we're not going with suits to those, areas. We have to actually dress down because we did not really, we basically didn't connect. it was a little bit an off, to it. It would look like, federal agents. And that's not really the look that we needed in that particular, angle. And so we had to adjust. So
Mm.
this was true story. It happened to me literally, this was 25 years ago, but it was an interesting experience.
And you still remember it. You still remember.
Oh yeah, that was
you
the
never
funniest.
forget things like.
Well,
Oh,
well,
but-
yeah, it's funny because we had those lanyards back in the days. So your badges were actually metallic, those necklaces with a badge.
Mm.
And so here's a tie suit, and then it didn't have them. My friend, drove a black, SUV. So black SUV, two suits coming out with glasses, sharp. It did look very attractive. It was like, we're gonna have a conflict. That now again, there was nothing going on, but it's just the perception, right? And
Of course, and it's
and
all
that-
about the perception.
exactly. And it was a bad, and it could have turned back because some of these people may say like, what the hell are you guys doing? And we get into altercation. So you have to be able to gauge the environment and adapt accordingly. It's not for
Adapt
every
accordingly.
every event also will have a different story. Like, I started working at Disney a long time ago, and I took business seminars for theme parks. And so everything we learned was about themes. Everything has to be coordinated. So your outfits, your costumes, everything. Every time you're on stage, you're dressed in a costume. So your dress is your costume for whatever occasion it is.
I mean, imagine if you're a younger guy, you're in college, and you go into a frat party,
Mm,
and you put a suit on. You're gonna put a suit on. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And at the same time, like, if you have a corporate interview for like a sexual insurance and everybody's gonna be wearing a suit, I mean, you show up wearing like a t-shirt. It's like, like one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm sure many of you have seen it. It's called Step Brothers.
yes.
Step Brothers. They're showing up to a janitorial job wearing tuxedos.
I know.
If you remember that scene, yeah, William, I can't remember his actor's name, but yeah, so they have to go get a job. Their parents made them go get a job. They show up. It's basically cleaning toilets. It's a janitorial job, and they're wearing tuxedos. So again, looking great, but to the wrong place.
That's an excellent point. You have to know your environment, and also sometimes, to your point, it just again adjusting to exactly what the occasion is. If you go into a ball, to a gala, I mean, there's a certain look. If you go into a party, there's a certain look. If you go into a date, it's a different story. Every single environment has its own feel. If you go into outdoors, you might want to you go into a casual party or golf outing, it's another story. So each and everybody, needs to know how to do that. And to your point, it can be costly to dress up. Sometimes even to dress down. These days, dress down can be just as costly. You can have some casual dress, but it costs a couple of $1,000s because you have signature and brand design, whatever. So not everybody has to fit in the same profile, but at the same time, we just need to know what those differences are. So what would you recommend for someone to kind of like the different steps that you guide through your consulting? How do you get somebody to really some of it is pretty logical, right? It's simple, logics and steps. But what do you do? How do you take someone? If I'm, for example, I am firm that I think I dress up the best. I'm not. That's not the truth. But the idea, if someone comes to you and says, "Well, you're not going to change my look. I love the way I look. I'm dressing up nice. My hairdo is the best." And remember, there's a whole thing like the first thing that people apparently see in you are your shoes. The psychologically.
Females. I mean, hey guys, this is for guys, specifically girls. That's the first thing girls notice is the shoes, because all the girls are obsessed with their shoes. They want to hike, and when they meet a guy, the first thing they notice is the shoes. And one of the biggest style mistakes 90% of the guys make is wearing running athletic sneakers with everything. They go out to picnic, which is fine. Picnic is fine. You can wear sneakers. They go on a job interview. They wear sneakers. They wear a sports jacket and a button-up shirt. Out to dinner, out on a date, they're going to be wearing freaking athletic sneakers. So that's one of the biggest. There's so many options when it comes to shoes that there's no reason, like really the only appropriate place to wear athletic running sneakers is either A, you're going to be running a marathon, B, you're going to gym. Really, that's the only place you're going out on a date, you're going out to dinner, lunch. Don't wear athletic running sneakers. It's just too casual, inappropriate. Even if you're wearing jeans and t-shirt, you can be better off wearing desert boots, chukka boots. Now there's a bunch of fashion sneakers you can get for a very good price. But yeah, that's one of the biggest. I would say like not at least 90% of the guys make is wearing athletic sneakers no matter where they go. And I mean, it even when it's bad, where like on multiple occasions, because I really pay attention to this stuff and I'm so acute to it, where I've seen guys wear a pair of Nikes, which are by the way great sneakers, but I've seen them wear with a suit, a pair of running sneakers with a suit. It's so, like I said, if you're gonna be working out in the gym, you're gonna be running marathon, you're gonna be doing one of those obstacle courses. I mean, obviously wear sneakers, but outside of those events, you shouldn't be wearing athletic sneakers. They're too casual, like, and it's not really appropriate for most of the environments.
It's funny you talked about that. The first image that came to my mind was Tom Hanks in early days in one of his movies, I think Bachelor Party or something, where he actually dressed up in a tux and actually a pair of Converse sneakers. And that was like iconic at the time. So that's the image that you were just describing in my picture right now. I was looking at it. It's funny.
And the funny thing is, Converse are actually pretty good sneakers. They're actually pretty good. They're better. I mean, they're not dressy, but they're a little bit dressier than a pair of running sneakers. So, but even then, now, for example, let's say I see a lot of guys, and that's actually pretty cool. It became cool these days. There's a pair of fashion sneakers that are like low tops. You can actually pull them off with a suit without wearing a tie. But I mean, you have to know the pair to look for. So I mean, I can definitely point you to the right pair. But again, yeah, I've seen guys wear like New Balance sneakers, so like big clunky ones with a pair of suits, and it ruins because the thing is, your shoes, the shoes can break or make an outfit. They can make or break an outfit. And a lot of times it breaks an outfit because people wear athletic sneakers, running sneakers.
Well, Maxime,
Well,
let's talk about that because, now people are listening to this show and they'll be like, well, that's a matter of, I guess, opinion because I'm the cool kid. I don't want to subscribe to everybody's fashion. I want to do my own fashion. I think, today more than ever, we have those ideologies, right? I don't have to be conformative to anything that's out there or conform, to the status quo. I want to have my own signature, and therefore that's my look. That's one. And then you have also some of the industries like the Silicon Valley, right? Google and all the stuff, which encourage a little bit of be lax and do your own thing, and you don't have to be as sharp, to do your functions. So it creates a whole different experience and also different logics for people. I mean, I'm gonna to give you this. This is funny and it's real. I mean, I sometimes I really look at my kids and I kind of shake my head sometimes. High school, and they go with freaking pajamas and and chanclas, and sandals in their legs and whatever. It's kind of like I would have never been able to go to high school, and dress that way, but now it is, a norm. It's changing. So how do we kind of tackle that shift in the mindset in terms of the dress code from traditional to real relax and maybe like find a medium way, like somewhere in the middle where we can all meet and understand what's to wear when?
actually, one thing I do want to touch upon is this is actually crucial. I'm not a parent. I don't have any kids, but like a lot of parents, they don't really pay attention to what their kids wear in school, whether it's in like elementary school, middle school, high school. They, like if they're going to school, who cares? But what parents need to realize, and this is important, how they dress, that's going to directly impact how they feel about themselves, their confidence. And therefore, they might not perform well in school. Like, for example, like still remembering, I mean, I graduated school almost, 12 years ago. I graduated high school. Anytime when I woke up late, I didn't take a shower, I just ran out in my, just like put on first pair of jeans I've seen. On those days, I felt more tired. I didn't feel as good. I didn't feel as confident as when I woke up a little earlier, took a nice shower, cold shower sometimes, put a bit more time and effort into my outfit. I felt more productive. I felt more confident. I was more likely to speak up in class. So, I mean, this is dirty for parents. Do not allow your kids, or you should not allow your kids just to wear pajamas to school, because while you might not think so, it does impact their confidence, how they feel about themselves. Like when you have hair all over the place, like you have bad hair, you just possibly cannot feel your best as if you would put some, I'm not saying wake up 2 hours earlier and put some pomade in your hair, spray cologne all over yourself, pick your best button up, but put some time and effort, because it's going to make you feel better about yourself. And when you feel better yourself, whether it comes to your business, your job, schoolwork, college, you're going to feel better, and therefore you're going to perform better. You're going to think better. You're going to think clearer. You're going to be more likely to speak up. You're going to be more like, for a guy, you're going to be more likely to speak to the girl, whether you're at, like in college or in high school. So yeah, don't. And these days it's not uncommon to see, you go out to like Target, you go out shopping, out to eat, and you see somebody in pajamas, and you can tell that person doesn't really feel that good about themselves. So yeah, I mean, like I would say, speaking to parents directly, I mean, I would say like, make sure your kids put some time and effort, even if it's like 10 minutes, to look presentable.
But Maxim, I have to tell you, it is, as a parent, I can tell you, it is challenging because yes, like for example, I do value the look, right, the feel, and how you have to dress and do this correctly and look, a particular way. But now, from almost like it's a peer pressure. It's not about just your kid. It's what's the trend right now. I mean, when you go to school right now, especially high school, it's literally, especially winter, it's pajama and a little whatever Uggs, house shoes, whatever you call those things, and they're just
I like Uggs. Uggs are so comfortable and warm. I used to have
well,
pair of Uggs.
yeah, but there's Uggs and Uggs, right? But I'm talking about the just the ones that you wear around the your room and lounge in, right? And so it's almost like it's casual to that day. This is not pajama night, which was occasional. You do one out in every now and like your theme days, and you just come in with a pajama day or whatever. No, this is like almost the same get up every day. They all kind of have the same look, and they all look exactly the same. They're twins. Everybody's clones. So I think it's changed a little bit. There's a shift in there. And yes, you're right. I mean, can they do that? My daughter wakes up 2 hours before school and she still dresses exactly like that because that's just how it is. And she dresses differently. She's going to stand out differently. And I think that's a challenge. And by the way, I'm just giving an example, but I'm noticing some of these trends over and over these days, in a lot, even at work. The look, the feel at work has not been the same as back in the days. I mean, I used to be in I'm still in corporate, and there were places where if you don't show up in a suit and really sharp, right, nice polished shoes and things like that, you didn't really look the look, especially if you're in an executive level or even entry level. It doesn't matter, right? And the question also becomes like cost, right? And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So let's talk about that. I mean, you follow this more closely. Is there anything that's been, I guess, industry wise and things that started shifting some of these minds and some of these trends?
So, I mean, I would say COVID definitely has impacted.
Okay.
And, so many people now that used to go in the office, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 8 to 6, work 10 hours. So, I mean, obviously, if you go into the office, it makes perfect sense to put time and effort to put like a nice suit on, nice button up, even if it's like a nice polo. It makes sense. So now COVID hit 2 years ago, and people are now working from home. Some are unemployed, some are working from home on a Zoom call, video calls, and they're thinking, well, hey, like nobody's gonna see me. Nobody's gonna see me. So it's like why should I put time and effort? Okay, maybe you don't have to put a suit on, but if you're just gonna wake up and you're just gonna get you a cup of coffee, not take a shower, not put, you still in your pajamas, your Uggs, like you have to put them in. Again, like going back to like schoolwork, like it's going to impact how you think, and you're not going to feel great about yourself. And if you don't feel good about yourself, knowing, because subconsciously you know that you skipped a couple of steps, you're not going to perform as well. You're not going to put out your best work as if you would. Again, I'm not saying wake up and you're going to be on a Zoom call all day long. You don't have to put a free piece suit with a tie on and your best pair of dress shoes or loafers. No, but put some time and effort. Don't skip, just because nobody's going to see you that day. And a lot of single guys, like especially, they're like, well, even if you're not going to be on video calls, even if you're just going to be working on your computer, but nobody's going to see you, still put some time and effort into your grooming, into your appearance, into how you dress. Because it's going to make you feel better. You're going to be more proud, and not like, arrogantly proud, but you're going to be more proud of yourself. You're going to feel better. You're going to think better, and your work output is going to be of higher quality.
Well, thank you for that. And it's funny that, again, you mentioned that, the first thing that came up, we've seen some commercials about the Zoom. People are in their trunks and shorts and they have a suit on for the top. I mean, those were like some funny, commercials
Oh,
out there.
yeah, I've seen one where a guy, you're like wearing like a dress shirt, he's wearing a tie, but he's like in his like boxer briefs, or
Exactly.
his boxers. Yeah, yeah, it's like down there. He like looks so great, like all fresh is shaven, his hair looks good. He's wearing like this nice tie, his shorts fits him properly. I think he has like boxers
Well,
because
well,
nobody can see him.
he was a hybrid. He was a hybrid, working from top and relaxing at the bottom. Hey, what can I tell you? But it's interesting because this also leads to the discussion about how much does it cost to really dress nice, right? And a lot of people may have this challenge. I mean, there's a couple of things. One is weight loss. Some people gain weight, they lose weight. If I buy a suit, I have to make sure I fit in that suit. That's one element. The other one is the cost. I mean, if I'm not making a lot of money, I can't afford to have actually a suit every day, or this, or launder my stuff, and dry cleaning is also costly, whatever. So there's all these factors that some people may account to, like, or add up, and therefore they might almost take away from their own look and feel and confidence eventually, because they might be looked at differently or may not be as welcomed in some environment, or get the real access. You go somewhere, you want to impress people, they're not as easily impressed if they see that. And some people will judge you for that too, and so that could also impact your abilities. So what do we say to that, those factors?
Okay, first of all, it does not take a lot of money to get super nice wardrobe. A lot of people think, well, if I'm going to dress really nice, it's going to cost me so much money. It's going to cost me thousands of dollars. It might cost me tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty much an expert at this point. Yesterday, I was out at this, somewhat nice restaurant bar, drinking wine, and I seen this guy, and his sneakers really caught my attention. They were sharp looking. And I'm like, hey, man, are those Common Projects? Common Projects is like an Italian brand, $400 a piece. And I'm like, those are really nice sneakers. I'm like, where'd you get those? And he's like, I don't know, I think like some department store. I'm like, how much did you pay for them? I mean, like, they got to be very expensive. And he's like, no, it's like 40, $50 at the most. So even being an expert, like it can be hard to tell. You can tell somebody who's dressed a kid, dressed real nice, and you think they spent at least $1,000 on this whole picture, this whole outfit. It can cost under $100. So it can be very challenging to tell, even as an expert. So don't think just because somebody's dressed really nice, you don't think they dropped a couple grand on a suit or this outfit or those pair of shoes. No, you can get, if you know what you're doing and you know where to shop, you can get a brand new wardrobe with super nice clothes that fit you perfectly for under $1,000, $2,000 at the most. So don't think you got to go drop $5,000. Yeah, I have clients who have taken shop and spent $10,000, $15,000 in a couple of hours, but they want everything European, Italian, like custom made. Then yes. But then I went out with clients and we got the new wardrobe anywhere from $500 and $1,000. It depends what you want, what your preference. Now some people have very expensive taste.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they have the money. They're not going to think twice about dropping $5,000 to $10,000 in a matter of a couple of hours. But some people are on a really tight budget, but they still want to dress nice, whether it's for work. A lot of guys are, recently single, so now they want to start dating again. They want to look good, they want to feel good. But let's say they've been going through divorce, so therefore they're on a tighter budget. So therefore the guy might not have more than $800 to spend, but he needs a new wardrobe. Some of my clients lost a lot of weight. They dropped 50, 60, 100 pounds in some cases. So the clothes that used to fit them no longer does. And they might be on a tight budget, so therefore they might need a new wardrobe for like under $1,000. So it's all about knowing where to shop and about the quality. But yeah, don't make the mistake, just because, thinking all the quality clothes is very expensive. I can take a guy, let's say like who's used to wearing a suit and if that suit doesn't fit him properly, is not tailored. You can take the exact same guy who thinks he's so cool in a suit, put him in a pair of fashion sneakers, t-shirts and jeans. He's gonna look infinitely better if those t-shirts and shorts or jeans fit him better than he will ever look in the suit. Because a suit can only take you so far. If that suit is not tailored, if it's baggy, if it's like all over you.
Yeah.
And it's so common, like I don't really go to nightclubs. never really did much. But you go to a nightclub, you go to some fancy restaurant, you see a guy in a suit. He's all dressed up. You think he looks great, but then you look at it closer, and it's like like the sleeves are too long, the pants are all bugged up, the pants are huge on him, the jacket's huge. He thinks he is the coolest person in the room, but he doesn't realize, because he doesn't understand style and the fit, that he looks terrible. He might have an expensive suit on, but it was never tailored, it was never altered. Like I said, the pants are too long to bag, the jacket the same, the tie is hanging down too low, or the tie is too short. By the way, the right place when you're wearing a tie, the tie should hit right at your belt, right in the middle of your belt buckle. If it's longer than that, it's too long. If it goes above your belt, it's too short. So his belt might be too long, or it might be hitting above his belt. So it's not hit properly. He's never gonna look his best, although he thinks because he's wearing a suit. A lot of guys think, well, if I'm wearing a suit, I automatically look great. No, the suit has to be altered, tailored. It's not very common to get a suit off the rack and fit you perfectly. 99% of the time, that suit should be altered. So therefore, you can take the same guy, put him in a nice pair of t-shirts, nice pair of jeans, sneakers. He's gonna look way better, way better.
Well, it could be like something like a dress shirt with just a blazer type, and a nice
Exactly.
jeans. I mean, there's a lot of ways to make it look good. I mean, but you're right. That's a perfect example where you have a suit and you look like you're sharp, but everything says that you don't know how to really refine that sharpness, right? And that's, I think, the challenge. People do observe these things, and sometimes it becomes almost an anti thing for you, because it kind of ruins your look. People are like, oh my God, look at this guy. He wants to look, differently. He wants to look something, but that he's not. And people judge you for a look. That's the other part that we want to talk about. Is you're talking about self-confidence, about feeling good about yourself. And one of the first things is that people will look at you and they will judge you based on your colors, what your get up, your combos, to your point, if your tie is all the way hanging down, if your suit is too baggy on you and things like that, all these things, your hairdo will actually make a difference in how people look at you. Your grooming, right? Your shoes are not, well polished and clean and looking sharp and really like, shiny. So all these things are effects that people are going to look at. And whether you're dating, again, business, people judge. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Humans are very big with judging. So let's talk about
one
that.
thing I'd like to touch upon, people judge. People say like, oh, I don't care whatever anybody thinks of me. But people judge. I mean, look, first impression. Let's talk about first impression because it's crucial. You can be the smartest, most intelligent, kindest person ever. You can be a genius. You can have the great personality. People can fall in love with you when they talk to you. But when somebody sees you, I think like it's like first impression in the first 7 seconds. But I think it's more like 7 milliseconds. Because like I said, you can have the best personality, you can have the best smile, you can be so kind, so genuine, you can be an incredible person from inside. But people see you, they're gonna judge you from how you dress. So if you dress like a slob, you have bad hair, your suit is all over you, it doesn't feature your shoes are scuffed, you have like that's really the first impression. That's the first impression, how you dress, how you present yourself. Because if you look like a mess, people are going to associate it with you, who you are as a person. Because if you don't really care how you look from outside, it means you might be a slob from the inside. So like I said, you can be the most charming, stunning, intelligent, most likable person in the world. But like I said, people aren't going to see a personality when they first see you. They're going to see, and I'm not saying wear a three-piece suit, wear the most expensive Italian pair of leather shoes. No, but put some time and effort. Look in the mirror before you leave the home in the morning. Maybe have like a nice fragrance on. Don't overdo it, but smell nice. Don't have the body odor. Because again, people are going to judge you on your appearance at first, and that's really what first impression is.
Well, it's important to know, and it's unfortunate that sometimes there's so many circumstances that can also affect someone as to what that looks like. I mean, there could be a bad night and they just have to get up and go to work. Sometimes they may be running late and they didn't have a chance to really do that. I mean, I think everybody. I would say I try to do my best every day to look as sharp as I could, but there are days you don't feel it, right? You wake up like, okay, just another day.
And hey, I mean, don't feel bad. Look, I do this for a living. I mean, I have bad days. There's times when I don't get enough rest. I might wake up late. I might oversleep. But I mean, I'm talking about like in general, most of the days, you want to put some time and effort. Now, don't make it a habit to just get rolling out of bed and throwing whatever's in your closet, putting that on. No, I mean, of course, you don't have a nice wardrobe, so like no matter what you put on, looks good. But yeah, don't just like look for random stuff. And one thing I do recommend is a lot of people wake up, they pick out the outfit in the morning, and there's two aspects. The first aspect is it's gonna fatigue your decision-making muscle. So what I highly recommend, and I do this always, I pick out my outfit the night before because first of all, I don't have to think about it in the morning. I don't have to fatigue my decision-making muscle. And you can take time at night before you go to bed, pick out the outfit. So a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people wake up in the morning and just, like see first thing in their clothes and just put it on. Prepare your outfit before you go to bed the night before. That way you'll wake up and you know exactly what you're gonna wear without having to be in a rush trying to decide what you're gonna be wearing that day. So you have to be like, well, is that color gonna go with that color? Is it gonna look on me? No. Like I'm saying, before you go to bed, like you take a shower, like in a half an hour before going to bed, pick out the outfit, because that way you're being proactive, you're not being reactive. In the morning, chances are you're being reactive. At night, preparing the right outfit, you're being proactive. So therefore, you're gonna make better decision on what you can really think it through instead of just like, waking up, jumping out of shower and like, well, I think I'm just gonna wear this. It might look good, it might not. So yeah, that's one thing I recommend to everybody, no matter who you are. You're a guy, you're a girl. Prepare your outfit, think it through the night before.
Maxim, thank you for that. I mean, I actually believe in that perfectly because especially if you got to dress up in the morning in a suit and whatever, you want to make sure that thing is crisp, is lined up, it's ready,
Yep.
the tie is
Perfect.
picked, your belt is picked, your socks are picked, which dress shoes you're gonna dress up. The whole thing is lined up before you actually. So you wake up in the morning, you get into the shower, you clean up, you comb your hair properly, you dress up, and then voila, you're out to on the road. But to your point, if you wake up in the morning groggy and you start looking in that closet, yeah, that may be a challenge in the morning figuring out the colors and the matches.
And that's another thing, that's another point. It's another point. You jumped out of the shower in the morning, you're running late. You pull a shirt out of your closet. There's wrinkles on it. Now what? You don't have time to iron it. You don't have time to throw it in the dryer. So now you're gonna be in a wrinkly shirt, wrinkly pants. Because the night before you can think about it, and now you wake up in the morning, you don't have the time. So now what? But let's say like if it's the night before you pull this out, you want to wear this, but you see a couple of wrinkles. Now you can be proactive. You can either throw it in the dryer. And honestly, me personally, I hate a lot of my clothes are even more expensive, so I don't like throwing it in the dryer because it might shrink. And I personally dislike ironing. So I like to use a steamer. It's better for the fabric and it's much faster, much more convenient. So for any of you who don't have the steamer and you don't like ironing, get steamers like 40, 50, like 30, 40, 50 bucks on Amazon. You can get rid of all the wrinkles and do it the night before because like I said, you're gonna wake up in the morning, you want to wear something, but then you realize at the very last moment, very last second, oh, there's a wrinkles on this and like crap. So now I either gotta walk around wrinkly all day long or I have to look for something else. And then you get a second piece that might also have wrinkles or maybe like a stain you didn't realize. But at night, you have the time to be proactive.
I love that. I mean, that's pretty good. And yeah, steamers do work. And frankly, to your point, it's easier. There's no stain on your shirt. There's nothing. It's very quick, and they're not expensive to maintain either. So, but again, to your point, if you're not prepared the night before, you're running last minute. Things can get a little ugly, and you're just not happy, and then you're stressed out because you're not looking good, and people are gonna look at that, and you just walk in. So your mood is talking about confidence, how it affects your work. You walk into that office, you're not really that thrilled anymore. Now you're thinking about all
And,
that.
and, and you're like, oh my God, is anybody looking at me? You're gonna be like, is anybody looking at me? Somebody looks at you, be like, oh my God, why are they looking at me? I mean, of course, not everybody's gonna be like that, but I mean, for a lot of people, they're gonna be like, oh my God, a guy's gonna be like, why did she look at me? Oh my God, she look at me because she thinks I'm handsome, because she wants to talk to me, or attention to the stain on my shirt, or there's a deep wrinkle. Like, why is she looking at me? Like a lot of guys are going to be in their heads then. Like, so it's, like I said, if you have the night, if she does it the night before, you're going to see the stain. But now, like, if you wake up in the morning, you put it on, you're at the coffee shop, you're going to see this cute girl looking, and she'll be like, is she into me? Does she want to talk to me, or is she paying? Or did she see this like ugly stain on my shirt or on my pants? What's going on here? And it's gonna affect your confidence.
Well, you're right. It's really, you become paranoid, and anybody's looking towards you now. You're thinking it's because of whatever it is that is not looking good there, because you already understand that part. So it's a pain, right? Well, it's unfortunate, but that's reality. If we don't do it correctly, you will have to deal with those consequences, and it might kind of, to your point, ruin the day for you. It can ruin a lot of things for you. I mean, sometimes, to your point, we had the joke about the interview, that can ruin the interview. Now, although that shouldn't be a factor, but some jobs that do want a certain specific look, and if you don't really profile correctly, that could be a problem, right?
And I had a very awkward moment this morning. So I'm leaving the gym. I'm in my car. I'm drinking water, and I hit a bump. And I'm not kidding you. So the water spilled right on my pants where my crotch is. So now I have to get out of my car, and it looks like I didn't make it to the bathroom on time. That was so awkward, so embarrassing. And it took like half an hour to dry. So basically, fortunately, I had a hoodie, right? Yeah. That was even longer. So it was able to cover most of this. But imagine, like, you have to go somewhere, like to a store, coffee shop. You're at work. You're driving in your car. You take a sip of water, and you hit a bump, and it spills right on your crotch. I mean, that's so uncomfortable, so embarrassing.
Maxime, It happened to me. I was in the field, dressed down, and it was a nice summer day. It was in Pennsylvania, and I had nice like beige pants and polo, and so we were doing some rounds, and then I was invited to this farewell party, and I was drinking coffee. So now the coffee spills, and that thing stains, and I couldn't do anything about it, and I had to go to this meeting. I had no way of changing. So it was the worst part. I mean, I had to figure out a way to cover most of it. And I was like literally just trying to avoid people. It was not the best comfortable day for me. But you know what? This shit happens, and so from that point on, I've always kept stuff in my car. I have backup,
exactly.
Everything. Obviously over time you look at, options, and you have to always, carry things with you. If you're driving, have a shirt, a tie, something, as a backup plan, for you, even a polo shirt. Sometimes I have company shirt just as backup in case. Worst case, you put it on and you still look good. It changes the dynamics. So yeah. And one thing I wanted to talk about, I know you talked about the steamers. This happened to me. I was actually on a cruise ship, and they don't anymore allow ironing and stuff, and sometimes you have to, and so when you dress up, you want to either give them the shirts or you have to figure. So what I do is actually literally I sprinkle water and just use the what do you call it, the blow dryer.
Iron?
The blow dryer.
Oh, the blow dryer. Oh, really? I've never thought of that.
It works. If basically you wet the whatever wrinkles, you wet them, and basically they're just wet, and then you just like dry them up with that, and it just dries crisp. So new tactic, that I discovered on the ship. You had no choice.
Yeah. See, it's like when your back is against the wall. See, even as a professional in this field, like I didn't think of what, I mean, obviously you spray water when you want to iron something or before you throw it.
Same concept.
And even I was even talking to a friend, and he gave me because normally like you spray, before you put something in the dryer. I mean, one thing is you got to be careful. You have to make sure you pay attention to the material, because not everything. Sure. And I learned this the hard way. I bought this very expensive shirt about 10 years ago. Spent almost $200 on it. It was a t-shirt actually. And I put it in the dryer. It came out sized with toddler. But I was talking to a friend, a buddy of mine, and he said, like what you do is you throw it in the dryer and you put an ice cube in there. I didn't think of that, because normally I just like spray it, then I put it in there. But you throw an ice cube in the dryer, and that also works. See, I mean, like even it's like and he learned the hard way as well. So it's like about yeah.
A lot of hacks out there, a lot of hacks. But I mean, to your point, I've had the same problem with the toddler shirt. It goes a large, it comes up extra small.
Yeah, XL to XS.
I know. Or you take the wrong, you put the iron the wrong way on the wrong material, and then you just have a nice little mark of the iron on it, and that's it. Shirt is gone. I mean, I've had those days too, like, oh shit, it happened. And now you have to like plan to, like, you gotta have, well, listen, these things can happen, but you're right. If you prepare yourself in advance and you always are pre-planning and you always selecting your stuff in advance, you should have less of these problems. You prepped early and you wake up a little early, especially if you're going to prepare. There's nothing wrong with that. You look good, you look the part, and you actually have a better confidence. And also, even your own projection becomes different. And your image, to your point, you talked about image earlier. Your image, you look at yourself, you're proud, you're looking good. Okay, I got this, and this could be in just your normal day. There's nothing, I mean, self-confidence, we talk about self-confidence in general from mental state and things, but it starts with how you feel about yourself. And when you look at yourself, whatever you see can also impact, now we're all supposed to be happy about who we are and how we look. There's nothing wrong with that. That starts with that. But we also have to be mindful of you can't be too odd and expect, to have a different outcome when people are going to look at you like, oh, you look good. People actually are going to decide whether you look good or not, no matter what, and they're going to judge you one way or the other and start behaving accordingly. And we don't want that. We want you to be as crisp, as confident, as really able to actually face the crowds with no problem. I mean, I don't know if you do presentations, but that's the worst part. When you're presenting to a public and people are staring at you, and you know something is off when to get up, it becomes a problem. You're not focused anymore about the presentation. You're like, what are they looking? Like you said earlier, is there anything wrong with me? What's going on? It becomes a problem. It's annoying and not a good place to be.
It's not. And speaking of, like even every day, like every day, day to day. For example, it's like an average day. You're gonna wake up, you're gonna stop by Starbucks, coffee shop, first thing in the morning, then you're gonna go to work. You're gonna go to work for 8 hours. You might stop at a grocery store. Every typical day. So people think, why put time and effort preparing? Like it's gonna be. I'm just gonna put my regular shirt, regular pants, regular pair of shoes. Why put time and effort? It's gonna be a normal day. But the thing is, what I learned the hard way, you never know if you're gonna meet at a coffee shop. You never know. You could run a potential girlfriend, boyfriend, potential business partner, potential client. So even if you think it's going to be a regular day, like I'll give you a perfect example. So it wasn't this Sunday, but Sunday 2 weeks ago. I went out to a coffee shop. I was wearing, I was dressed pretty nice. I was like, hoodie, fit me well, pair of jeans fit me well, pair of my fashion sneakers. I look pretty good. But I mean, I was like, I'm just going to go, have my headphones on, be at the coffee shop, get a cup of coffee, work on my little business project. I was like, I'm not going to go anywhere else. I'm going to go there for 2 hours. It's Sunday, very casual. Not going to put time and effort. I mean, I look pretty good. I wasn't looking sloppy by any stretch of imagination. I look good. So anyway, I'm working at the coffee shop. I ran into a friend of mine who I haven't seen in at least 2 to 3 years. So he is like, hey man, how you been? Good. He was with a girlfriend of, he's a girlfriend, but like girlfriend. They were together. So we talked for a while, like introduced me to her. And he's like, what are you doing right now? I'm like, just working in my business, almost done. He's like, do you have anything going on afterwards? Like, not really. He's like, do you want to join us for a drink? I'm like, I was like, like it would be awesome to catch up. Like, of course. So now while I don't look bad, I don't look as good as I usually do because I was thinking I'm just gonna go to a coffee shop. So we go out to this, fancier, not nightclub, but it's like fancier bar restaurant. So we're hanging out. I'm drinking my wine, and this girl comes up. She knows my friend. She is tiny, gorgeous, and I start talking to her, and we hit it off. But I mean, like here's on a day like where I'm thinking I'm just gonna go to a coffee shop. You didn't have no plans to go anywhere else. Coffee shop and back home. And I met this girl who is stunning. We hit it off. And I was like, damn, I wish I would have put more time and effort preparing. But see, like when you least expect it, you meet somebody. It could be a potential soulmate. It could be a potential, future girlfriend, boyfriend, your future wife, your future business partner, your future client. You never know. Even if you think it's going to be a typical day where you're going to go to coffee shops and work in a gym or a grocery store, you never know who you're going to meet. So that's why it's always important to put extra time and effort into your appearance because you never know who you're going to run into, who you're going to meet, where you're going to end up.
That's a great point, Maxime, and actually true. I mean, things happen when you least expect them, and if you're not
Yep.
prepared, you don't know where you're going to wind up for the day, right? And that's important. And that actually, well, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about a different angle as well that I wanted to ask you a couple of things. One is we talked about perception and how people judge you on the look, right? And circumstances. But sometimes you go shopping, right? We're talking about shopping and stuff. You walk into a nice store, if you're not really, some people judge you based on how you look, and they might not even give you your worthiness because they just almost already they decided that you're not worthy, you're not going to be able to buy anything. I've seen it happen in luxury stores. If you walk, underdressed or whatever, they look at you like you're not enough. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I have an interesting story. So I have a friend of mine. He actually ran like the private sales for cars, and he like high-end market Mercedes, BMWs. And he worked into I think it was at a BMW or Mercedes dealership. Now he was all pimped out. He wore a nice Burberry. Burberry is a very for those who don't know, Burberry is a high-end store brand based out of England, London.
Mhm.
So he walked in there like wearing like a Gucci belt, Burberry shirt, and he couldn't take because they were thinking those guy was trying to show off. Then the following day he walked into a different dealership just wearing like sweatpants, and so there is like a fine line to this. So you got to be careful where you go. So it can be a tricky game to play. But like for example, he showed up like all fancy, like he had like a nice chain on, a nice watch on, a Burberry polo. I think he wore like a Gucci belt, and people like looking at him like this guy is trying to show off. To show off. So yeah, you have to kind of know where you're going and what the deal is.
Well, that's true. I mean, if you overdress, they might take you, well, this guy's got the moolah, so therefore I'm gonna milk them. And if you dress down, they may think that you got nothing and you're not able to purchase, so therefore they don't even give you your own time. And vice versa. They can say, okay, well, this guy is not really, the best client for us, so you might not even get the attention that you would need. And you get judged. I mean,
Yep.
sometimes that's exactly what it is. It's amazing. It's people, and that varies depending on parts of the world too. If you travel around, some places they'll judge you for just your looks immediately.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, fortunate thing by being in the US, you have people from all over the world. So, I mean, you see people from wearing pajamas at the restaurant to people, like older stuff in a three-piece suit. So, like, it's common, no matter where you go in the States, like you go, like New York, I mean, New York City, for example. I mean, oh my God. You see people in pajamas on the street. You see people wearing the most expensive, tailored, custom-made three-piece suits, like so I mean, like, but you go somewhere like in like Europe, I mean, like mostly like in Europe, people are dressed pretty well. Like it's rare to see anybody in pajamas. Like you're almost never gonna see anybody in pajamas. Like you might get arrested. You might get if you wear pajamas in public. I mean, you go to Asia, like a lot of like China and Japan. You're not gonna see anybody in the pajamas, but because you have people in the US from all over the world, it's like you see all kinds of different outfits, different outforms, uniforms.
Well, you're right, Maxime. And funny you mentioned Europe because in Europe, some restaurants you won't even make it if you're not dressed up. They won't even allow you in.
Oh yeah,
Here, yeah, I mean, here you can still make it to a restaurant. I mean, there are some fancy restaurants they will still require at least a jacket or something for you to even walk in. I mean, it did happen to me one time actually. We went to this place in under the Brooklyn Bridge, and this was years back, and it was by the promenade, so there's like the water and stuff, and but you had to have an actual minimum jacket on, not a suit. But so I had a shirt, slacks, and everything, but I didn't have a jacket. So he said, "You need a jacket," so I had to borrow a jacket to get in. But
and it should be that way because, like I was saying, the place where I met this girl who, fell short level of attraction to. Like I said, it wasn't like a five-star restaurant, but it was a more upscale bar restaurant. And like wearing a hoodie. Now it wasn't like your champion hoodie, nothing basic. It was a nice hoodie and a nice pair of jeans, but I still felt out of place. Although I wouldn't say I was dressed any worse than anybody else, but because it was more upscale, I felt like I should put more time and effort. So I know exactly what you're saying, and it should be that way. I mean, you're going to fine dining. There is no reason you should be wearing t-shirts and jeans. I mean, it should be. So I get it. I mean, it's part of the atmosphere. It should be. There should be some kind of like dress code.
Well, it is. I mean, I remember in the 80s or 90s, and I guess even now, there are even clubs. You will not walk into a club if you're dressed down. I mean, there are clubs where you have to be dressed in a particular way to even make it. They won't allow you in. And so I mean, I'm talking about that's just entertainment, but that happens. I mean, that still exists in parts of some nice fine places.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of angles, but now let's talk about just styles and fashion. I mean, there's so many fashion trends out there, and and it changes constantly. There's also a lot of social media now and a lot of presence, and sometimes there's influence by, I guess, actors and celebrities and things like that. So people kind of, we have the Kardashians looks these days. We have different type of looks, here and there, but people literally kind of almost look at these things at their guides, and there's magazines, of course, that people, fashion magazines and things, magazines, and all these things are out there. But you have also, like, the brands like the Louis Vuittons and all these Gucci's. I mean, we just had the Gucci movie that came out recently. So there's a lot of stuff. Versace. I mean, there's also those like top designer, companies, and then you have the mid designer companies, and you have not so expensive designers, whatever. So there's different things. How do you position all that to people? I mean, because people sometimes, depend on their income levels, whatever, they still want to look good. I don't think there's someone out there that's watching or listening that doesn't want to look or feel good. It's just that what it means to them, and according to what budget they have, and whether what influence they do have, and who are they trying to impress at any given moment or time. So what do you say to those?
It really depends. If a prospect reaches out to me or I talk to someone, first thing I want to find out is like, what's their budget? If somebody tells me like, like, hey, like I want to look good, but like I just went through a divorce, so my funds are tight. Or if I'm talking to a younger guy, like I had a client recently who just made a bunch of money in crypto. So we went to a higher end department store. So it's really, you want to find out, because obviously somebody who only has a grand to spend, but they need a brand new wardrobe. I'm not going to be taking him to Neiman Marcus. I'm not going to be taking him to Saks Fifth Avenue. I'm not going to be taking him to Bloomingdale. We might go somewhere to like JCPenney or like even the outlets. Outlets has a good deal. So it really depends on their lifestyle. Where is it going to be going? If I have a younger guy who wants to hit up nightclubs and he wants to drop 10 grand at the table every single week in one night, I mean, obviously you don't want to take him to JCPenney. He's going to get offended. He's going to fire me. But, let's say you have a guy in his 40s. He recently went through a divorce. Like his funds might be tight, but he still wants to look good because he wants to get back in the groove. He wants to start dating again. He wants to feel good, but you take somebody like that to like outlets. And speaking of, I'm glad you brought up celebrities. I think celebrities have a huge influence on how society dresses. So back in 1980s, 1990s, celebrities dressed nicer, but now you go to LA, it's not uncommon to see celebrity in gym attire. So that's exactly why you see so many women wearing yoga pants. You see so many guys wearing joggers. And I think a lot of it has to do by the influence celebrities have, because like say you're in LA, you think you're gonna see a celebrity in like a suit, you're gonna see them like a really fancy, expensive. Often you're gonna see them in a pair of gym shorts and a hoodie. So I think hence why so many women have been wearing yoga pants, and so many guys have been wearing joggers, t-shirts, hoodies.
Well, that's a big deal, and I wanted to just highlight something on that because today, I've seen a lot of, I guess, contradiction in the social media, and there's a lot of these topics that pop up all the time about the poor try to look rich, and the rich try to look less rich. So what do you say to that? I mean, is that a reality? I mean, I obviously that we live in a world that has a lot of contrast, and now you have these trends. People always like longing to look a certain look because it makes them feel good about themselves, and sometimes it's just perception, just the way that you dress can give you that extra confidence, but then maybe against your means, and then somebody that might have plenty of means and they would probably dress down not to attract attention and things like that, and therefore that doesn't mean anything to them because they have the ability to do that, they just don't want to. So what is that contrast? How do you kind of plan for that with people?
I mean, honestly, one of the wealthiest the wealthiest person I know personally, like like on name to name basis, I mean multi-millionaire. But you look at him, you would think he was broke. You would think he was poor. Cheap clothes doesn't fit well. But see, like for his lifestyle, it wouldn't make any sense to go get Gucci, to get Armani, to get Burberry. It wouldn't make any sense because he's basically grew up on a farm. There where he lives, he inherited a lot of land, like acres and acres, and now it became prime real estate. So now he sold all this land. But I mean, it's more original, like I've seen, you see those posts, especially me being in my field, following a lot of different pages. You see this all the time, like there's a picture of, like here's like, broke person, he is wearing like this like expensive pair of sneakers, expensive pants. And then there's like, here's a rich person wearing the cheap clothes. That's definitely a generalization because there's poor people who dress cheap. There are rich people who dress in expensive clothes and vice versa. So it's definitely generalized. It definitely depends more on your lifestyle rather than income. Because you cannot tell me, I know so many wealthy people who dress expensive and they can afford it. I know poor people who dress expensive, but they blow all their paychecks on the clothes. I know some very wealthy people who are cheap. They won't even, they'll go to Walmart to get some basics. They'll do it. So, I mean, yeah, I kind of see, I think the point they're trying to make is like, don't dress to impress. Don't dress to impress. And to me, I think it becomes an issue. Like, for example, I have expensive clothes. You would never guess it's an expensive clothes because I don't like logos. I avoid logos. I want something expensive, high quality that doesn't have a single logo. Like Louis Vuitton has LV all over it. Gucci has Drizzle all over it. Louis Vuitton has those their logo in like those squares.
Mm-hmm.
I like expensive clothes, but the thing is, I don't want to be flashy. I don't want to be flashy.
Well,
so like I said,
sorry.
Go ahead. No,
I say that's a great point but even those brands, they do have, the signature stuff, and they have the less, in your face kind of models, and they do have products that don't show a lot of logo for those people that want to have less, I guess, presence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a good bag, you have this, but it doesn't show in your face like this is all LV all over the place, or whatever, Gucci, or Chanel, whatever. Even Chanel, I mean, some of their bags, other than the logo and in the buckle, whatever, there's nothing else.
And this is just, I think that's a sensitive topic. From my personal experiences, maybe a bit generalization, obviously, but what I noticed, people who actually are not rich, they're going to be more likely to wear the logos because now they want to show off. Look at me, I have money. Now, wealthy people are going to be less like, they're going to wear expensive stuff, but they're going to be less flashy. They're not going to have all the logos, everything. So I think when it comes to those, like, post social media stuff, I think, like what they're trying to make it, like, like people who are going to blow their paycheck on the stuff is going to have logos just to show off. Just to show off. And, people who are wealthy, who have the means, who have the funds to afford the most expensive stuff, but you're not going to really think, like I was telling you, for example, like the guy, he was pretty successful, the guy who I've seen at the bar last night. I swore his sneakers for like $400, but they were $40-$50 pair of sneakers. So it does go both ways. Like, like it's like those posts, I'm not a fan of them because I think the generalize a bit too much, but I do see the point. I see, but yeah, like I said, there's poor people who wear expensive clothes, who blow all their paychecks on that. And there are people who are less fortunate, who don't have high income, who are very frugal. They cannot shop at thrift stores. There are very wealthy people who can afford anything they want, who are going to wear brand names, expensive clothes. And there are wealthy people, believe it or not, who are going to shop at thrift stores as well. So, I mean, that's definitely generalizations. So I personally don't like those type of posts. But again, like it definitely goes both ways. It definitely can go both ways. So there is no such thing, because you cannot tell me there are rich people who want to shop at thrift stores and there's poor people who blow there's a little bit of both for sure.
So, Maxim, one question that comes to mind is, what do you say about people that wear replica, stuff, meaning not fake, but replicas, as in the movie Gucci, the guy said, it's not fake, it's just a replica. And if someone wants to look rich, and that's fine with me. I think something like that in that particular line. But what do you say to that?
You know, the funny thing is, I'm much glad you brought up the movie specifically because I was always against it. You know, it's a huge market. Like Louis Vuitton has the biggest prevention team in the world. Louis Vuitton has the biggest one. I disliked it. I strongly disliked. Oh my god! And actually, in my early 20s, I've been fooled one time. I bought a Prada purse for my mom for 10, $20, and I'm like, something doesn't feel right. It was a knockoff. So yeah, I'm not. There's watches that sort of replicate Rolex that cost 40 grand, and you can buy them for $100. I'm not a fan of it, but the movie kind of got through to me. The guy made a good point. He's like, if there's the quote in the movie was, here's what the guy said, the owner of Gucci said, if there's a mother on Long Island who wants to dress like an Upper East Side, Upper West Side woman, she should. And if she doesn't want to, why not? But I honestly just, to me, I'm very original. I don't like to fool people. To me, I want the real thing. I want the real thing because I don't want people to think something I'm not. So, I mean, for example, like, you know, like a Louis Vuitton purse is going to cost me like 1,500 up to 3 grand. I think it's immoral to buy that for $30 and pretend like you have a real Louis Vuitton purse. So overall, I mean, again, like I'm not going to be judgmental. To each his own. Everybody has their own style, but I personally don't believe in replicas. I think, you know, like you should be authentic, and if you're going to pretend, it better be real. Don't pretend just like it's going to be like it's oh yeah, I spent 3 grand on this Louis Vuitton person, this Gucci person, you really paid 20, $30 for it on the black market. But the movie did make a good sense. And again, like, you know, this is my personal opinion. Somebody might have a different opinion to this, and who am I to say they're wrong? But I like the real thing. I like the real thing. I like the tradition.
Well, I think everybody does. The problem that poses itself is that not everybody can afford the real thing, and sometimes it just the idea that I have something of an LV, for example, of a Gucci that looks like it, even if I know it's not the real thing, but it gives me that feeling that now I want to almost work towards the real thing. So this gives me the start point, and then now I want to remove this and replace it with a real thing. I save some money. So some people may have that, and also the other part is when you look at around the world, not everybody can afford, for example, some of these brands. I mean, in the US, even the average person can save up money and put it on a credit card, whatever it is, and still be able to get some of these brands. And parts of the world, there are people that may not even, you know, they can work a lifetime and still not able to buy a purse, you know, of that magnitude, right? And so that's why you find a lot more of replicas from knockoffs around, you know, some parts of the world. And some of them look real. I mean, they're not real. I mean, you can tell the difference. I mean, there's some real fake out there or some real replicas that really as authentic as they can get, unless you're an expert, you can't even make a difference. And there's some countries that they excel in that fashion. But so that takes me to fashion, and you know, which is, there's a lot of fashion out there, as we said, right? And so are there any trends today that are specific that people, because they're like Italian, you know, trends are always, you know, hot, right? Especially men's suits and, you know, GQ looking, you know, all that stuff, the dress code.
Mhm.
They've always been excellent. Milano is one of the places, you know, to look forward to, right? In terms of dressing nice and sharp. Is that really the standard? I mean, you mentioned Burberry, and that's England, and there's different brands from different Louis Vuitton. You know, we have the Hermeses that, you know, they have their own styles. You have all these specific fashion, you know, I guess exposed things that are exclusive to not everybody. I mean, very few people can attend, but there's that. So what's going on in the world today in terms of fashion, for men's fashion specifically, and is Italy still the lead in terms of, like, you know, sharp looking?
I mean, as far as trends are concerned, to be honest, men's style, men's fashion has changed very little over the past century, very little. Now, I don't work with women. I can take a look at a woman and be like, wow, you know, she looks really nice. She's very well dressed. She has a nice outfit on. But the thing is, I'm not trained, like my eyes aren't trained to pick out exactly what goes into this outfit that looks so good. A guy, I can pick a guy apart in a matter of half a second. I can look at all the details. Girls, like I said, I can see a woman on the street, my lady on the street, and be like, well, she has good taste, she has good style, she's dressed really well, she looks great. But again, my eyes aren't trained to pick out all the details. The only thing I can take a look at the whole picture and be like, you know, that's pretty impressive. You know, like there's something about her that her outfit makes her look really good. like she's popping. But with guys, like I said, guys' trends, guys' styles barely changed over the past 100 years. Now, on the other hand, for women, their styles, the trends change way more often than guys do. So for guys, I would say it's pretty consistent. Doesn't change. I mean, it's what like chinos, pants, nice sport jacket, nice blazer, nice button up. Very consistent. Not a lot of trends. And usually trends are more common among fast fashion. Think of Zara, think of H&M. I like Uniqlo a lot. In my early 20s, I wore H&M a lot. Half of my closet was H&M. Might look good, but again, it's trendy and it doesn't last. It doesn't, the quality isn't there. So now, like my slogan is like, quality over quantity. I used to buy a lot of clothes, high quantity, but quality, I didn't really care. Now I spend about the same amount of money, but I buy fewer pieces, but stuff I really like, stuff I know even 5 years from now, I'm still gonna love wearing it. You go to fast fashion, you're gonna wear it a couple of times and like, it's kind of boring. I don't want to wear it anymore. But again, when you go for the quality and like this all hard, even if it costs more, it's worth it because even years from now, you're gonna put it on, you're gonna feel like you put it on for the first time. You're gonna love it, you're gonna feel good, you're gonna feel more confident, you're gonna feel incredible wearing. But when you buy it just because it's on sale, there's going to be doubts in the back of your mind. There's going to be doubt. You're not going to feel great. So that's exactly why I say quality over quantity. I don't recommend trends. I don't like trends because trends change. And I think, like it's something, girls have to worry more about than guys because like I said, guys, style, fashion stayed pretty consistent over the past century or so.
Well, so Maxime, I wanted to just add one thing. I mean, we exceeded the hour here, but I want to just ask this question about the someone. You said quality versus quantity, right? Now, if
quality versus quantity.
Quality versus quantity, yeah. So quantity means you have plenty and you can change almost every day. Twice a day, a different outfit or more. But then if you have quality, but that means that limits your pieces, right? So. And if you're, let's say, in a corporate world, I mean, you need at least 20 suits, for a particular, 4-week, and then you have to reset them, right? So sometimes people are like almost offended with the idea. I can't dress the same suit over and over and over and over. People are going to notice it. So what would you give them as an advice? How can they make that work for them and make it look like they have 100 suits?
Number one advice, and it's going to work for every guy. Have a couple of suits, but have a dozen ties. So for example, let's say like, you're working, you're going out after work and you might end up going home with somebody else. So you might not go home and change, but here's the trick. So you can wear the same shirt to this scenario, you can wear the same suit for sure. But what you do is you change the tie. You change the tie and people are going to think you're wearing a different suit. So again, you can wear the same shirt. I don't recommend that. Obviously you want to take a shower, but let's say you can't for whatever reason. You bring it in your office, you can keep a spare in your car. You can keep a couple of different ties and you just change the tie and nobody's going to think twice about it. So just, yep.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yep. Change up the tie and boom. You walk into the office and nobody's going to think twice.
Well, I mean, yeah. So some of the tricks. I mean, to your point, you change a belt, a tie, maybe a couple of shirts, with the same setup. Shoes can also change colors. A brown versus a burgundy versus a black. And you match it up correctly, and maybe a different tie to your point, and it changes the whole look. And it's amazing that it could be done with less, I guess, cost.
And one thing I have to say, so like as far like a lot of guys make this mistake. So you all know that the color of your shoes should always match the color of your belt, and vice versa. They should always be like you should never wear brown belt with black shoes or brown shoes with black belt. It should always be consistent. And while all blacks are the same, there's different shades of brown. So anytime we need a new belt, new shoes, and it's brown, make sure you bring the shoes and a belt and you match them at the store. Because I'm more than likely, because there's like light brown, there's dark brown, there's different shades of brown. So let's say you need a new belt. Bring the pair of shoes with you. Or you need the new shoes, bring the belt with you to match, to make sure there's exact match. And boom. Black, you don't have to do that because again, black, make sure it's something like flashy black, but standard black is going to match. Brown, there's so many different shades of brown, so it's really like by memory, you will never memorize what black it, what brown it was. So make sure you bring belt or shoes in brown to the store with you, so you get exact match, because you're not going to do it by memory.
Excellent, excellent. So now that takes us to the wrap up of this particular engaging, discussion, which is interesting. I think for a lot of people that be, there's not a lot of shows that I've seen or heard, that discuss this topic of dress and the impact of it and how to really make it look good. But so how do people reach out to you, Maxime, and to get your advice to work with, and what kind of people are you usually working with? Any specific, clients that you are looking to assist, or is it anybody that wants to just have a nice way about themselves and maybe feel very confident about the way they go about their dress code? And where did they reach out to you?
Well, first of all, I'm most active on Instagram. I have a lot of quality content on there. Different outfits, you can see before and after all my previous clients. So yeah, Instagram is really the best way to reach me. It's Max, M-A-X, Image, I-M-A-G-E, Max Image Consulting on Instagram. Again, you can direct message me on there if you want to work with me. I work with people over Zoom call, WhatsApp. I help to clients over a text message before. What I do is I'm like, hey, what's the occasion? What are you doing? What are you looking to wear? They tell me. And I'm like, here's a link for the store. Here's what you be to buy it. Now, obviously, because it's all visual and I want to see exactly how the outfit fits, it's better to work in person. So, I mean, if you want me to, let's say you're in different states, I'm in Pennsylvania, I live near Philadelphia. If you're in Florida, you're in Illinois, you're in Chicago, you're in LA, Nevada, then obviously, if you want to work this in person, you have to either fly out to me at your expense, or you would have to fly me out. But I would definitely be more than happy to work with you over a video call. But yeah, you can get hold of me at Max Image Consulting on Instagram, or maxim.houston@hotmail.com. But I get a lot of emails, so it's best to get hold of me on Instagram. And you can get a lot of fashion, a lot of styles idea on my Instagram as well. So you can follow me on there. I'll follow you back if you have any questions regarding. But a lot of guys who I help, they're going on a first date. They have a job interview coming up, and they want to look their best. They want to feel confident. Speaking of dating, so girls, like an average girl, she's going to spend hours, if not days, preparing for an outfit. She's going to obsess over what outfit she's going to be wearing. She's going to make sure everything matches in color. She's going to go get her hair done more than likely. She's going to get a manicure. She's going to make sure she smells perfect. So she's going to spend at least hours. An average guy puts very little thought and effort preparing for a date. So, I mean, out of respect, make sure you put some, I'm not saying you have to obsess over it for days, but put some time and effort preparing for a date. Job interview. You want to look good. You want to make a good impression. So that being said, a lot of guys come to me because they have a date coming up. Some guys just lost a lot of weight, so now they need a whole new wardrobe. And some guys just want to get revamp their wardrobe, but some guys come to me just for an outfit or two because they're going on a date, or they have a job interview coming up and they want to look their best. They want to make sure they feel they're most confident. So it depends on the occasion. Or there might be going to a cocktail party, they want to look sharp. Some guys are younger and they're around a bunch of money, so now they want to get new wardrobe. But for the most part, it's guys who are going on the first date, or they have a big job interview coming up, or they have a big client meeting, and they just want to look good. They want to look sharp. They want to feel sharp. They want to feel confident.
All right. Well, that's we have the connection, and I'll have those elements in the description of the show so people can reach out to you, Maxime. I mean, it's been real. Thank you for the opportunity to share with us your values and insights on Dress and Shop, which, by the way, people may think that they got it, but we learned a lot. I learned a lot, and I think there's plenty of information that they can reach out to and get from you and your expertise. Go ahead. You wanted to say?
Yeah, and one thing I want to emphasize is I'm not going to take anybody out of their comfort zone. So, for example, let's say if you have a guy who's so used to wearing his dad jeans, a baggy button-up shirt, I'm not going to take a guy like that who is not used to dressing very well. I'm not going to put him in a finest suit. that's gonna make him feel probably even worse, less confident, because it's way out of his comfort zone. So you want to take it a step up. You don't want to go from one opposite, dressing sloppy, wrinkly, to wearing the finest Italian clothes. You don't want to do that. So you want to take it a notch. So yeah, don't think I'm gonna make you look like a runway model. First of all, I don't specialize. I don't know anything about runway. I work with normal guys who want to look better. But again, like it doesn't mean I'm gonna take you from one extreme to another to wear, let's say, like you're used to wearing, like running sneakers, jeans, and t-shirts all day long. I'm not gonna put you in a three-piece Italian or even like a nice blazer. It's all about taking it step a notch without taking it too far. Because, like I said, you take a guy who is dressing sloppy and you put him in something really fancy, he might even feel less confident, even worse. So you have to do the discovery, see what his lifestyle is like, where he wants to go, and you want to take it up. You want to take it up even better than what he's used to dressing without going overboard, like I said, because going from one extreme to the next extreme is gonna make him feel worse. So, like I said, don't think I'm gonna make you look like a runway model, to where you want to look good effortlessly, and that's what I say.
Well, I love that. I mean, that's you make people feel the right way without going crazy, and you basically stage it up to the next level, and in time you could actually make that transformation all over. But it will take them an easy way to kind of almost adjust and adapt to it. So that's a beautiful way of doing it. To your point, when something is changing overnight, from one extreme to the other, sometimes it doesn't fly right, and you may not make it look good. That's the other thing. So I appreciate it, and I think everybody watching or listening right now would enjoy that part and understanding. And now they have the access to you, so hopefully you'll get folks to reach out and you know assist people, make them feel good, look good. Then hey, listen, that's what we want. It's inside out. We want you to be healthy, mentally, physically, in your look. Everything is beautiful by you. That's all the idea. So
Yeah,
uh,
and I'm sorry, and that's one thing I want to touch upon. You want to, first of all, you want to make sure you feel good in your own skin. You want to, that's number one. I'm not saying you have to look like a model with 8-pack and 2% body fat, but you want to be in pretty good shape. You want to feel good in your own skin. I had clients to reach out to me, and I can tell they didn't feel good about themselves. So yeah, I can take, because the clothes is basically a band-aid. Yeah, it definitely helps your confidence. It's gonna make you feel better. But if you don't feel good in your own skin, clothes can only do so much for you. I had clients who reach out to me. I mean, they're morbidly obese. They have low self-esteem, no confidence, and the thing also is going to help them. Yeah, it's going to help, but again, it's more of a band-aid. So I have to connect that person with a personal trainer to get in better shape, so they actually do first feel good in their own skin. And once that happens, then the clothes is going to take them to a whole new level. So make sure the point being is, like I said, you don't have to be a professional athlete, look like a model, ripped, but make sure you can climb a flight of stairs, you feel good about your physique, your health. That's where the clothes is. But at the same time, you can take a guy who is overweight and you can actually disguise some of his body flaws. You can make a guy who is a bit overweight look a little thinner. You can take a really skinny guy, make him look a bit buffer. So clothes has the potential to do those type of things. But like I said, it all comes down to internal. You have to feel good from inside. That's important.
And that's beautiful, and that's exactly right. We want to feel right about ourselves, and self-confidence is a key. And to your point, looking good can make a difference about how you feel about yourself. So Maxime, it was great. Thank you for being with us today and sharing some of your lovely insights here, and some intricate stuff that sometimes we may not even pay attention to. That was great. So that being said, I want to thank you. And folks, I want to thank you for being with us, for watching in and listening as well on iHealth So we'll be talking soon. New show, new guest, new topic. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone.